Hey guys, welcome back to the AJ Analysis channel and the Manchester United match coverage videos, where today we are talking about Manchester United's unfortunate 2-0 loss to Real Madrid in their pre-season game. Now, if you are in the UK, this game was played at 1:30 this morning, so I doubt many of you have watched this game, and also I don't think there is too much coverage of this game online, so make sure to share this video to as many people as possible. So I just quickly wanted to take a break away from the main camera to talk to you guys about today's video sponsor, the Football Shirt Club. And the reason I want to talk about them is because today they have sent me this beautiful mystery box for me to try out for myself. You can see this lovely purple packaging, really good quality. So today we're going to open it up and we're going to see what we get inside. So we've turned the camera, let's see what we are going to get inside. If you want to check them out, the link will be in the description down below to get one for yourself. But drum roll please, let's have a look at what we're going to get. Oh, it's very nice indeed. I'm seeing a PSV badge straight away, but also a couple of bonus gifts. We have a little information card. You guys can pause it if you want to read through that. I'll be reading through it later. We've also got some playing cards. Marcus Rashford feels very fitting for the channel. Got some different playing cards there though. Really high quality. They feel very nice. But then, the most important thing, the Piece à la Résistance, the PSV shirt, the 21-22 away kit. I need to try this on and show you guys. So I have to say, I'm really pleased with it. The PSV badge on the kit is very nice indeed. If you want to get your own mystery box, check out the Football Shirt Club using the link in the description down below. And also, if you use code AJ10 at checkout, you will get yourself a nice little discount. But today we're going to break it down. We're going to talk about some of the good things we saw, some of the bad things we saw. We're not necessarily going to break it down in the same way that we would a competitive game during the season. We're going to look at a few of the interesting things that we learn. And we will start with Ten Hag's structure when building the ball out from the back, because I have to be honest, I am very pleased, although we don't have a tactics board here. There we go. I am very pleased and honestly a little bit smug with what we saw in terms of the build-up structure in this game. And the reason for that is because it is exactly, and I mean exactly, what I predicted when Onana was first linked with the club. If you want to check out that video, it will be linked somewhere either in the description or on screen here. But yeah, basically, we called it here on the AJ Analysis channel. Now, unfortunately, we've got Kobe Minu in the starting 11 here, but he went off injured 3 minutes in. Hopefully, it's not a bad injury. It didn't look too great on his ankle, but it's an unfortunate one. Hopefully, he will be okay. But we saw Christian Eriksen come into the team, but that's not the important thing here. The important thing is the structure, because what we saw from goal kicks, or certainly, if not goal kicks, then just when Onana had the ball and United were building the ball from the back, was Onana moving to the left here, Rafael Varane dropping deeper, Lisandro Martinez moving into midfield, and United going to something which looked a little bit like this to build possession from the back. And I was so pleased to see this. It was something which I was begging Erik ten Hag to do, but I didn't actually think he was going to do it. I have to be honest with you. I didn't actually think we would see this structure in place, but we did, and it worked so well. And the reason it worked so well is because it allows you to outnumber the opposition somewhere on the pitch. And in this case, it was in several areas. The reason for this, though, is because United now have 6 players building the ball from the back. You've got Onana and Varane, you've got Shaw, Lisandro Martinez, Casemiro and Aaron Wan-Bissaka. And Real Madrid, playing in their 4-4-2 diamond, could only press with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 players, which meant that United had a kind of a 6-man build-up structure up against 5 players. And when you've got technical quality, you're going to find a gap somewhere. This was something I spoke about in my video looking at Onana, the ability to overload the opposition, and it worked really well. And I want to quickly look at it using Once Video Analyzer Pro, a really good video analysis software which you guys can check out using a link in the description down below. Highly recommend it. But we can see the structure here. United have 6 players in these deeper areas. Onana and Rafael Varane are alongside each other. Lisandro Martinez here has pushed all the way into midfield. And what we're going to see is that Real Madrid only have 5 players which are able to apply pressure. And the 2 deeper players in particular here are a little bit worried about what United are doing going the other way behind them. Now, it's important to note this isn't an intense press from Real Madrid. You would see more intense presses during the season, during the competitive season. However, the structure is still interesting. And what's important here is that United outnumber them. You can see Real Madrid are kind of set up in this situation here. You've got the 2 strikers, Vinicius and Rodrigo, matched up with Onana and Rafael Varane. If the ball goes wide, you've got this player here who can kind of scoot across and get over there. And if the ball was to go wide towards Wan-Bissaka, who I believe is probably just behind me. Nope, he's just out the corner there. Then this player here is going to come across. But the important thing is that United are 2 versus 1 in the middle here up against Jude Bellingham, which means that when this ball goes wide, it can then be worked in towards Lisandro Martinez. And this is what we are talking about artificial transitions or manufactured transition. These are situations when you are building possession in a slow build-up possession, it's sustained possession, but it's a transition at the same time. Brighton do it very well. This build-up structure could allow Manchester United to do it moving forward, because we can see here, Lisandro Martinez gets a bit of space on the half-turn, receives the ball, turns into midfield, and then plays a long ball over the top to the on-rushing Mason Mount. Now, unfortunately on this occasion, the execution of the pass wasn't quite right, and also the control wasn't perfect, but we can see what that could lead to in the future. And I was really pleased with the way which Manchester United built the ball from the back, and Onana, unsurprisingly, was really a big part of that, so that was really good to see. Onana's positioning was also good in sustained possession as well. We saw him with quite a high starting position. I haven't got access to the heat map right now, but if you go check it out on something like SofaScore, you will see that his heat map was really quite high up the pitch, which was important for United. But what I found interesting in this game was, for me, it felt a bit like last season at times, where it felt like Erik ten Hag was playing good players out of position to get other players in the team. And what I mean by this is Bruno Fernandes playing on the right wing and Marcus Rashford up top. For me, it's not the best position for either of them, and in this game, it kind of took a toll, because United were building possession in a 3-1 shape, but they were doing it a little bit differently to what we've seen during the other preseason games. With Kobe Mainoo going off injured, it was instead Aaron Wan-Bissaka dropping deeper, often into a 3 like this. Now, this wasn't a structure we saw too much. United didn't exactly dominate and control this game in possession. It was pretty even. We know Real Madrid have an incredible midfield. But what this meant, with Wan-Bissaka kind of dropping into this position, and Bruno Fernandes playing on the right wing but wanting to come inside, it left United lacking a bit of balance to the team. There was a lack of width down the right-hand side. Now, Mason Mount gave his best efforts to get into these positions and provide some help, but he, also like Bruno Fernandes, isn't a natural right winger, so is this something we're going to see Ten Hag use more against big teams this season? Possibly, but I'm not a big fan of it. It just doesn't give the right balance on the attack. And I also didn't think Marcus Rashford had enough support. With Mason Mount kind of forced to rotate right side with Bruno Fernandes and Garnacho holding the width on the left, it left Marcus Rashford a little bit isolated at times. And we know that Rashford isn't exactly a false 9, someone to drop into these positions and link the play. I thought United struggled with that in the first half. Add to that the fact that Madrid are playing with a diamond in midfield and have lots of numbers. United did struggle in possession, and it wasn't a great performance on the ball, especially towards the final third. Now, this changed massively in the second half because Jadon Sancho came on up front and played as more of a false 9, something which I will be covering in a video on the channel probably tomorrow morning. But also we had Antony on the right wing, and this gave United a better balance because you've now got a natural winger, someone who wants to play wide on the right hand side. Now, we didn't stay there all the time, he still came inside once he got the ball. But importantly, he was starting wide when receiving. And also, Jadon Sancho technically is more secure than Marcus Rashford, so he offered this false 9 ability. So he was dropping deep, and United suddenly weren't kind of outnumbered and overloaded in these areas. So that was a good change and an interesting point. But in terms of the in-possession stuff for Manchester United in this game, we didn't learn too much apart from that build-up structure. Now, like I said, we're not approaching this like we would a typical video during the season. We're not going to talk about, tactically what we saw all over the pitch. We're looking at more what we learned in this game. What was different in this game? And the difference for me was that build-up structure at the back being genuinely elite and potentially really very good for Manchester United this season. But then higher up the pitch, Bruno Fernandes on the right-hand side, not working, but then instantly looking so much better once he came inside. Rashford struggling a little bit up front. Antony playing really well on the right wing when he came on. So that's kind of the in-possession stuff we saw. I quickly also want to focus on the defensive side of things as well. So in general, defensively, United did struggle a little bit in this game, and the main reason for that was because Real Madrid were using a midfield diamond, which means that United have 3 midfielders up against Real Madrid's 4 midfielders. It made life quite difficult for United, especially when they were building possession and then losing the ball. Transitionally, Real Madrid were hurting them with those 4 players in the middle of the pitch. Jude Bellingham was quality. Of course, also Vinicius, just terrifying every time he gets the ball. And the problem was that Luke Shaw and Wan-Bissaka are afraid of pushing forward because of the threat of the front 2, which means there's 4 at the back up against just 2 Real Madrid players, highlighting their quality really, but it left United short in other areas, so that was concerning from a defensive point of view. However, in terms of moving forward, it was probably more due to Real Madrid's structure, which was the 4-4-2 diamond, which I wouldn't expect to see in the Premier League, so I'm not too concerned about that. What I'm more interested in is the pressing structure of Manchester United, because at times it was really good, really very good. It was connected, the fullback was connected, and it worked really well, and it was better than what we saw last season. However, there were also times when United fell into old habits, and Real Madrid found it too easy to play out from the back. In terms of the good side of things, Onana had a really high starting position. If you watched the game live, you wouldn't have seen it. However, I have seen an angle from in the crowd where Real Madrid are building the ball out from the back here, and Onana is literally halfway in the United half, which is really good to see because it allows the team to squeeze high. And when United did squeeze high and do it properly, they done it well. The question is, how did they do it? Well, it was in a 4-2-3-1 structure. We have Casemiro and Eriksen the double pivot, Mason Mount the 10, and Bruno Fernandes and Garnacho out wide. And the approach was similar to last season. We've got the two wingers kind of half and half in between a centre-back and a full-back. The idea is that Marcus Rashford will force the ball to go one side, and then you're going to do this. Rashford's going to come onto this player here, Bruno Fernandes here, Mason Mount is also going to shift across, as is Garnacho. And the idea is that you're forcing them one side. However, the problem that this leaves, and the problem that United had last season, was that if the ball then goes backwards and goes out to the other side, United then can't press that. However, in this game, at times we saw, well, at times that being the case to be fair, at times this player was free and it allowed Madrid to play up from the back, but there were also times where Luke Shaw was now connected to the press, more aggressive. So when this ball was kind of floated out towards this area, Luke Shaw was there and ready to challenge, putting the ball under pressure, and United turned the ball over in some good areas. And once again, we can go to Want Video Analyzer Pro to see this. Let me try and find, first of all, let's start with a good example. I think that's the best place to start. So, we can see Manchester United here in a 4-2-3-1 shape. Marcus Rashford is going to force the ball to go one side. They're going to play Real Madrid down this side of the pitch. The ball's going to go, and United are going to squeeze across. Garnacho on the left is going to come across. We've got Mason Mount coming across. Bruno Fernandes is ready to deal with the fullback if the ball goes wide, and Rashford has forced the ball over. However, what the player on the ball here does is goes back to the goalkeeper, and they try to cycle the ball out to the other side. And what we can see is that Garnacho is narrow because he was connected to this player here, but if you look up there above me, there is the free right back. He is spare, he has the room to receive the ball, and this was the problem that United had last season. However, what you will have missed is that Garnacho just gave Luke Shaw a little symbol. He just pointed to the right back and told Luke Shaw, this is your time to now lock on. And on this occasion, Luke Shaw does exactly that. Luke Shaw locks onto the press. We can see this ball is kind of floating in the air. The ball is coming down towards the right back. Luke Shaw locks on, gets nice and high, challenges the ball, and Manchester United end up crowding out Real Madrid, winning the ball in a really good area, turning it into a really threatening attack. And that is a good pressing structure. However, if we look at the other side of things, there are times when it doesn't work. We've got the same sort of situation here. United have forced the ball one side, but then Real Madrid have gone backwards. Once again, the free man is going to be on the right hand side, but this time Luke Shaw is not there to engage, which means that the player can receive the ball unchallenged. He gets the ball eventually out here, and then, because Luke Shaw just isn't high enough up the pitch, Luka Modric can get the ball in midfield, turn and hurt Manchester United. So that was kind of the good and the bad of the pressing structure, and it is something which Ten Hag needs to work on. He needs to decide, does he want to connect his fullback and be really aggressive? If so, United need to get their patterns right, they really need to work hard on that. If not, they need to abandon the high press and sit in more of a mid-block. If you're doing half and half and Luke Shaw or Wan-Bissaka on the other side isn't connected to the press, we can see how United are going to get hurt. Just to go back to it here, it's this bit here which is important. It's the fact that the ball can go wide here, but we've also got a midfielder in here, which means that Luke Shaw can't go and be aggressive. The structure is wrong. In my opinion, if we just get a couple of arrows up on screen, 1 second, in my opinion, Eriksen here should be a lot deeper here, and Luke Shaw should be much higher. That would be a much more effective press for Manchester United. Because this player here is covered. United have enough players in this area. So this player wasn't needed to be marked by Christian Eriksen. So Ten Hag really needs to work on that. And really iron it out over the rest of pre-season. And decide what he wants his approach to be. In general, in this game, I think those were the main things that we saw. We also saw some, just general play. I thought United lacked that true number 9 up front, which is a concern. Of course, Kobbie Mainoo's injury is a real concern as well. Hopefully he will be okay. But in terms of what we learned during this game, which was what I want to focus on, those were the key points. In terms of the result, the 2-0 loss, I wouldn't be too worried about it. The first goal is arguably offside, plus United are down to 10 men at the time, with Kobbie Mainoo going off injured. And then the second goal, it's a beautiful, beautiful bicycle kick, executed to perfection in the last minute. So I wouldn't be too concerned about the score. It's not too important in pre-season anyway. But those are the interesting patterns I thought we saw during the game, some of the structures that we learned about. So that's where we're going to finish off for today. So thank you guys for watching. I hope you have enjoyed it. And as always, I'll see you in the next one.